Hey, it's Toina with Biblical Understanding of American Politics. It is post election day. The results are in, and 45 is the new 47. So America has spoken. So now that America has spoken, let's figure out what that means. So tonight, we're going to come out of Luke chapter 6, verse, I think it's 25. What sorrow awaits you who are fat and prosperous now, for a time of awful hunger awaits you. What sorrow awaits you who laugh now, for your laughing will turn to mourning and sorrow. Many of you think that now that Donald Trump has been elected 45, he is the great white hope, and he is going to do for America what no one else has done. And you have convinced yourself that, regardless of all the people out here, black, white, Latino, every color, who have said to you, listen, read Project 2025. Oh no, he already disavowed Project 2025. That has nothing to do with him. Those are extremists. Okay. And so you won't educate yourself. So I'm going to do you a favor. Instead of taking down the audiobook, which you can find on our podcast at RSS, it's Biblical Understanding of American Politics. You can find it on YouTube, and of course, you can find it in our website. I'll make sure that they add it to the description below. Go educate yourself. Take the time to read it, because there are some things coming now that are going to make you cry. Like a newborn baby, you will be screaming at the top of your lungs. Here's what you're going to be looking at. You're going to be looking at the executive branch taking over all the news. They're going to control every narrative that you hear. They're not going to allow you to hear what's actually going on. You're not going to have to think about anything. Instead, you're just going to do what you do. Then, of course, they're going to take away the Department of Education. So what does that look like when the Department of Ed goes? You know, it's actually funny that you asked that question, because a friend and I were talking about it, and my time as a teacher and his time as a counselor, we developed this friendship. And so we've stayed in touch for many, many, many years. And he goes, I'm not so sold on the Department of Ed being a bad thing. Okay. So let me tell you what happens when you take away the Department of Education. It goes back to the states. Now, states like California, who is the 5th largest GDP in the world, can afford to educate their students. New York, who's up there, can afford to educate their students. Let me tell you who can't. Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan, Iowa. All of you guys out there, it's going to suck to be you. You are going to be complaining about the school system. You're not going to have highly qualified teachers. You're not going to have anything that you need. You think you got it bad now? What about sports? Oh yeah, no, they won't be there either, unless you guys as a community begin to pay for them. The things that you have enjoyed are gone. Now let's talk about what it's going to do to your parents, your elderly parents, your family members who are sick. It's going to take away all Social Security. It's going to take away Medicare. It's going to take away your health coverage because they want to get rid of Obamacare. When this begins to happen, here's the thing that I want you to remember. God doesn't allow anything to befall his people without first warning them. And many of you ran through here, not just on our channel, but on others. You wanted to shout out Trump 2024. Elon Musk, who, mind you, is not a U.S. citizen, comes out and says, you have to destroy the economy before you can make it better. That should have terrified you, but it didn't. So let me tell you about the overtime you enjoy at your job. Yeah, it's gone. Project 2025 is getting rid of overtime, because now you can work the hours, but you're not getting time and a half for them. It's just going to be straight time if they pay you. Because now when you take away regulation, they don't have to pay you. And so a lot of you like to say, oh, well, you're doing hyperbole. Darling, I don't have to make any of this up. It was all contained in the 920 pages that you refused to read. Had you read it, you might have made a different choice, but you didn't. And so now that Constitution that you profess to serve and to love, yeah, it's a piece of paper. It's out the window. It no longer has power in America. So you have now ushered in the Second World War II. The German Work Party is now called the Conservative Party. And Adolf Hitler is now played by 45. And that is getting ready to be your life. And my heart bleeds for each and every one of you, because I understand exactly what you signed up for. What makes me sad is that it's going to come and run you over like a freight train. And you know what's going to happen? That anger that you carry right now, it's going to get even worse. And there's not going to be anyone to come along and help you be okay. There's not going to be anyone there to pick up the pieces, because they're going to be hurting just as badly as you are. And then there will be nothing you can do about it. Because now that you've put him back in office, now that there is unchecked power, the Supreme Court has given him the ability to run this country as a kingdom and to execute any of his political rivals. Now he's in office. And while one day he may die, J.D. Vance is getting ready to be your next president. You think he's going to be better? Nope. Younger version is always worse, always more extreme, always more hardcore. We've warned you. Your groceries weren't going up because of a party. They were going up because corporations bound together and decided they were going to fight to make someone, a president, look bad. So I got to tell you, I don't want to hear it. I'm one of the many creators out here who, when this all blows up in your face, I don't want to hear about it. Farmers, when you can't get your subsidies anymore, when you can't afford crop insurance, when you get wiped out by a drought, I don't want to hear it. I do not want to walk into a little restaurant and hear y'all complaining because you got hurt by what was done. It's only a matter of time. And the wonderful thing about the Father is this: time becomes your best friend or your worst enemy. And it becomes your worst enemy when the thing you want least happens to come your way. So I wanted to come on tonight. We were up all night long watching the election and watching it unfold and the results. It didn't end up finally closing out until like 5 this morning Eastern Standard Time. So needless to say, it has been a very exhausting, very rough day, and I don't want to spend a lot more time on here. I want you to batten down the hatches, because the ride that you're getting ready to go on is not a fun one. And the sad thing is that you've been so badly manipulated by the white Jesus that doesn't exist. And the white Jesus, for those of you who are unfamiliar, is the make-believe image of Jesus that white Christian nationalists have put together that they control. Jesus is quite capable of making up his own decisions, executing his own judgments, and doing his own things, but they don't get that. And so they sell you on this image of God, and that's why so many of you get angry and you leave the church, because it doesn't work out when you're serving a God who's not the real God, and you're about to see that. So the nastiness that you have allowed to come out of your mouth, the hardships and the meanness and the things that you've said, you're going to start to pay for. You will now begin to reap the fruit of that harvest. I just hope you were wise with what you planted, because the more you planted, the worse it's going to be. Remember this: you will get what you sow, more than you sow, and later than you sow. On that note, I want you to have a wonderful evening. Next week, I will see you again, but we will not be talking about the election. We will be talking about politics, but what we'll be metamorphosing to now that the presidential race is over is really understanding how the principles work within the political system that we have. And so, for those of you who want to move forward, for those of you who want to understand that you can actually have the real Jesus be a part of your political system, then we welcome you. But the rest of you who want that fake Jesus, we're not the channel for you. Go find Franklin Graham or James Dobson. Have a good night.